Okay, so good morning, everyone. Okay, so how are you today? Good, so that's good to be here. So, can everyone stand up and arrange your chair properly and pick a piece of paper so we can start our class? Okay, so very good. So, everyone, can you please remain standing for our prayer? So, Ahmed, can you lead the prayer? Thank you. Okay, so everyone, let's bow down our head and let's pray together. Okay, so assume that the prayer have done. Okay, so very good. So, uh, you may take your seat and I'll check your attendance. And please say present if your name was called, okay? Abdullah Nisreen, Abdullah Jamail, Abbas Nur Hidayah, Okay, so assume that attendance have done. Okay, so very good class. No one absent for this morning. Okay, so before we start our lessons, can we do a quick exercise? Can we sing together the song Enthusiastic? You are familiar with this that? Of course, you are familiar with that song. So can we sing it together? Okay, very good. So everyone again stand up and let's sing together. Enthusiastic, so I'm alive, alert, away, enthusiastic. 1, 2, 3. I'm alive, alert, away, enthusiastic. Okay, so assume that everyone have sing or warm up about the song Enthusiastic. Very good class. Okay, so you may take your seat. Thank you. Okay, so did you bring the assignment that I asked or given to you last meeting? The materials that I told you to bring? Group 1? Very good. So we will use that materials for our activity later, okay? So, itabi niyo muna yung mga gamit niyo. Okay, so are you ready to learn? Everyone? Okay, so if you are ready to learn, can you give me a 3 clap? Very good. So we are ready to learn. Okay, so before we begin to our lesson for this morning, anyone can tell me about our topic class meeting? Yes, Ahmad? Yes. Okay, excellent. Very good. So what was about insulator and conductor? So can you give more example? Anyone can explain it more? Yes, Aslia. Very good. So last meeting, we tackled about the insulator and conductor. So insulator means it is a something that does not conduct an electricity, while the conductor electricity is materials that conduct an electricity. So that's the difference of the insulator and the conductor. So for now, before we go on to our lessons, I'll show you some scrambled letter, just like what we are doing before we begin our class. So these words is relate to our topic for this morning. Okay, so these are the words for the scrambled letter. Okay, so the first one. Okay, so of course we have a clue to answer these questions. So for the first one, okay, so the first clue is this is a colorful. You can see in the sky and usually it comes after the rain. So ano ba yung colorful na dumarating after the rain? Aslia? Very good. Rainbow. So the answer is rainbow. So it is a rainbow. Very good. Okay, so for the next one. Okay, so this one. Okay, so the clue is I can give light and to see the color and in our surroundings. So what do you think a thing that can give light? Light, very good. So the answer is light. Very good. Okay, so for the last one. Okay, so here's our last scrambled letter. Okay, so the clue here is this is the main source of light and also it can give light. So what do you think is this? Aslia? Yes, very good. The answer is sunlight. Okay, so I also have a words here. Okay, so let's read it together. Sun, moon, star, bulb, flashlight, fire, lamp. Okay, so as you observe all these words, what do you think is the difference or what you have observed? Okay, so as you can observe of what we just have read and the scrambled letters, the main focus or the keywords is it is about a light. Okay, so the the words that we have just read is these are the source of light, which is um, some of it are naturally source of light, which are the sun, the moon, the star, and some of this is a man-made source of light, which is the flashlight, the fire, and the lamp. Okay, so do you want to know more about lights? And how or what if the lights interact with different materials? Okay, so to know more about lights, let's proceed to our discussions because what we did for a while ago is related to our topic for this morning. So to know more about lights, this is our topic for today. So how lights interact with different materials. Okay, so ano ba yung nangyayari kapag the lights is mag-interact sa different materials sa surrounding natin? Also, so the scramble words that we have just answered is relate from each other, in which the first one, the rainbow, the light. So we cannot see the rainbow without a light. And also, the main source of light is the sunlight. Okay, so let's get to know more about lights. And again, our main topic is how lights interact with different materials. So let's get to know what will happen if the lights interact with different materials. So, ano nga ba itong lights? So, what is lights? So, we have here the definitions. Light or visible light, it is the light that's visible to the human eye. And the primary source of light is the sunlight, so like what I've said earlier. And also, visible light allows us to see the color that is not absorbed by the object. Okay, so lights help for us to see those objects. Okay, so I have an example. So everyone, can you look at around or outside? So can you see the leaves? Okay, so what was the color of the leaves? Green. Okay, so why do you say so that it was a green? Or paano ni nakita na it was a green? Because of a light. So that is one of useful and helpful of light. So by means of light, we will able to see objects. But the interactions of light can be either transmitted, absorbed, or reflected. And that was our lessons for, or that was our discussions that we will differentiate the interactions of materials with the different materials. So to understand it more and explain it more, we have here, or we will do an activity. So again, can you bring or get your materials that I tasked to you last meeting? Okay, so did you bring? Okay, so very good. So we will do and try this activity. So we have here the experiment time. Okay, so this is a simple experiment. So the materials that we need is a glass of water and a straw or a pencil. So everyone, group 1, group 2, and group 3, let's do and perform together this activity. Okay, so we have here the procedure. Put the pencils inside the glass of water and observe. Okay, so I have also here a glass of water and a pencils. Okay, so everyone perform at your desk also. Okay, so observe what happened to the pencils. I'll give you 5 minutes to observe, and after that I'll ask any one of you to discuss what he or she observed. Okay? Okay, so assume that the teacher give time for the students to observe and do the experiment. Okay, so time is up. Okay, so again, these are our experiment or short experiments. So anyone can tell something about his or her observations. Yes, Isa, very good. Yes, exactly. So it looks like the pencils have bent, but if you look it from the water, it's not bent, right? I mean, when we look it into the water, the pencils is bent. So para siyang nabibend. But when you get it to the water, it's not bent, it's straight. So, what do you think is the reason na pag sa tubig is nagiging para siyang nabibend, pero pag kinuha natin ay hindi straight, the pencils is straight. Okay, so what do you think is the reason? Anyone? Okay, so the effect or the bend that happened with that pencils or that process is called refractions. So what is refractions? Okay, so we have here the definitions. Refractions, it refers to the bending of light as it passes through materials. Okay, so the activity that we did is a process called refractions. Alright, so in other words also is refraction is the bending of a transmitting light as it travels across the boundaries of materials. So means also that into another material in which speed is different. So as we observe, the speed in water is different from the air. It is because light travels faster on Earth than water. So that is why the reason the pencil it looks like it was bent. So the light waves is changes directions as it pass from one to another medium. So that is why it was bent. So that's the effect of light. So it was different from the water to the air. So that is the process what we call refractions. Okay, so did the refractions understand? Okay, so do you have any questions about the process refractions? No? Okay, so I think let's proceed to the other one. Okay, so again, I need the attentions of everyone. So you have a mirror in your desk, right? So I told you to bring a mirror also. Okay, so I also have here a mirror. Okay, so when you're looking at the mirror, you see yourself? Yes, so what do you think is the reason that we see ourselves into the mirror? Okay, so everyone take a look to your mirror. Okay, so what do you think is the reason that you see or yourself into that mirror? Okay, so that's another process which we call it a reflections. Okay, so from the word itself, we are reflecting to the mirror. Okay, so what is these reflections? Okay, so it refers to the bouncing back of light that hits an object. Okay, so from the definition itself, it says that when a light hits the material such as the mirror, the light will bounce back, or that is the reason that uh, when the lights bounce back, that means when you're looking at that materials, uh, it was reflected because the light is bounced back. So that is the reason why the lights are why we are reflecting to that mirror. So that is why when light hits that mirror, it was reflected. So again, that is the process that what we call reflections. Okay, so did the refraction and reflection understand? Any questions? And so far, okay, so again, refraction is the bending of materials or bending of lights because it was different the travels of lights in the water, in the air, and the reflection is from the word itself, reflected, or the bouncing back of the light. Okay, so it was clear? Very good. So now another okay, so I want you to observe. So Ahmad, can you turn off the light and uh, tell me what happened or what you have just observed? Okay, so Ahmad. Okay, so Nabadilin, so when it was too dark, can you see uh, the materials in your surrounding? No, because so that means when it was dark, there's no light, means we cannot see objects. So this process is called absorptions. Absorption means refers to materials taking or absorbing and not reflecting back. So from the word itself, taking or absorbing means the light is the object is absorbed or taking all the light. So that is the reason that we cannot see an object. Okay, so again, absorptions is means that the colors is all absorbed by the lights. Okay, so the process that the light is transferred to some materials is called transmissions. So we have here the definitions. Transmissions is refers to passing of light through some materials. So that is the what we call if the lights is interact with different materials. So that process is called transmissions. Okay, so again, I want everyone to observe and we will have a short experiment. So again, the materials is a flashlight, clear plastic, flat wood, and a piece of paper. So, okay, so I'll be the one who will do these activities and I want everyone to observe because I'll ask one each group to explain and give some reasons about his or her observed. Okay, so for our first activity is the clear plastic. Okay, so I have a clear plastic here. Okay, so what you're going to do is observe and take note. Okay, before that, here's our flashlight. Okay, so that's the flashlight. Okay, so our first procedure is turn on the flashlight and point to the clear plastic. Okay, so so observe. What do you think happened if the light hits a clear plastic? Okay, so what do you think? What did you observe? Okay, so again, anyone can answer about his observations. Slia. Okay, so the lights is transmit and although nagpass siya sa plastic is nandito pa rin yung lights. Okay, so this class is a process that we call transparent materials. Okay, so this is the reason why the light is passed through the materials because it was a transparent and nag-pass by yung lights. Okay, so we have here the definitions. It allows the light pass through them. Okay, so that is why the light is passed through them. So, lumagpas yung light sa plastic, clear plastic. Understand? Okay, so again, nagpass yung lights, lumagpas sa plastics. This is a process called transparent materials. So, all the transparent materials we have at home will pass the light through them. Okay, so for the next is a flat wood. Okay, so I have a little flat wood here. Okay, so this one, kahoy. Okay, so observe again. Okay, so what you have just observed. Okay, so medyo nakikita yung lights. Very good. So, in this process, yes, medyo may mga lights na nag-pass by, pero hindi lahat. Lahat, maliit lang yung nag-pass by. So, this process is called a translucent materials, which means a translucent materials are, it allows some of lights to pass through them. So, from the word itself, some. So, hindi lahat ng lights is nag-pass by sa object na ito. As we can observe, konti lang yung lights na nag-pass by. So, this is a process called translucence. Again, pag konti lang yung nag-pass by doon sa object na iyon, that is called translucence. Okay, so comparing the two, the transparent and translucent materials. So again, all the transparent materials are when you nag-passing lights is mag-pass by yung light through them. And then the translucent materials are only some of the lights will pass through them, but not all the lights will pass through them. So now let's proceed with the last one, a piece of paper. Okay, so I have here a piece of paper. Okay, so again, observe if the light will pass or not to this object. Okay, so as we can see, did the lights pass with the object? Okay, or okay, so again, okay, so very good. So the lights, as we observed, did not pass through them. So that means this process is called opaque materials. So opaque materials does not allow light. Okay, so this only means that all the material that does not pass the lights is called opaque materials. Okay, so again, these are the transmissions of lights into different materials. Again, transparent materials, yung mga materials na lumalagpas yung lights through them. And translucent materials is some of materials will pass through them. Some lights will pass through them, but not all. And then the opaque materials is totally block the lights or does not allow lights to pass through them. Okay, so all the process that we have mentioned here, here also the refractions, reflections, and absorptions is called optics. Okay, so because optics is the study of refractions, refractions, reflections, absorptions, and the transmission, which is also we have here the transparent materials, translucent, and opaque materials. So all of that is the study is the optics. Okay, so I have a few words here before I give you our quiz for today. Okay, so these are the summary of our discussion for today. Okay, so the first is the visible lights, which is the lights that visible to the human eyes, which is our main topic. We have here the refractions. Again, the refractions is the bending of materials through the interaction of lights. And then reflections is also interaction of lights in which when the light hits these materials will bounce the light. And then absorptions are all the colors absorbed by the lights. And then transmissions is the process of light through materials. And then again, transparent materials is yung transparent yung lights or lumalagpas. The translucence is some of the lights passes. And lastly, the opaque is totally block the light. Okay, so 5 minutes and I'll give you the quiz. Assume that the 5 minutes have done. Okay, so we have here the quiz. Get 1/4 and I'll read the questions and answer the following questions. Also, here's your assignment for today. So that would be all for this morning. Thank you so much for listening. Okay, so goodbye class. Don't forget your assignment.